If you think your silence is what hurts her the most, you may be misunderstanding the real power you hold. There is something far more unsettling than disappearing. And if you stay with me, you'll understand why this shift changes everything. Not just for her, but for you. If this speaks to you at any point, quietly like the video and subscribe. Not for me, but for the version of you that's ready to grow beyond reaction. Most men are taught that no contact is the ultimate move. You pull back, you vanish. You stop texting, stop calling, stop watching her stories. And yes, silence creates space. Space creates curiosity. Curiosity can create longing. But silence by itself is still often a reaction. It can be fueled by pain, by pride, by the hope that she'll suddenly realize your value and come rushing back. And the difficult truth is this: when your silence is emotionally charged, you are still emotionally attached. Even if she never hears from you again, part of you is still waiting, still checking, still wondering. And if you've ever laid awake replaying conversations in your head, wondering whether she misses you, whether she's thinking about you, whether she regrets walking away, then you are not alone. So many men experience this silently. They appear calm on the outside while internally fighting battles nobody sees. I want you to comment below with one word: peace, if you're ready to stop chasing emotional closure and start reclaiming your self-respect. Because what we're talking about today is bigger than relationships. It's about emotional freedom. It's about becoming the kind of man who no longer abandons himself trying to be loved by someone else. Mary Smith, host of Senior Mindful Living YouTube channel. There's a difference between silence and emotional independence. Silence says, I hope you notice my absence. Emotional independence says, I no longer need my worth confirmed by your attention. And psychologically, those are two completely different energies. One is still seeking validation, the other has found stability within itself. A woman can often sense the difference, even if she cannot explain it logically. Human beings are emotionally perceptive. Research in psychology shows that people unconsciously pick up on emotional tension through behavior patterns, tone, timing, and even subtle shifts in energy. So when a man goes silent but is internally consumed with resentment, longing, or obsession, that emotional charge still exists. It leaks through in indirect ways, through social media activity, through delayed reactions, through inconsistency. But when a man genuinely becomes grounded, calm, and emotionally centered, something changes completely. There's no performance anymore, no attempt to manipulate an outcome. He's no longer withdrawing to provoke a reaction. He's simply redirecting his energy back into his own life. And ironically, that is what creates the deepest psychological impact. Let me explain why. Imagine two men after heartbreak. The first man deletes her number dramatically, posts cryptic quotes online, ignores her messages strategically, and spends every day secretly hoping she notices his absence. The second man quietly accepts the situation. He starts sleeping better, going to the gym consistently, reconnecting with old friends, building routines, reading, healing. He isn't trying to send a message, he's trying to rebuild himself. Now ask yourself this honestly: which man feels emotionally stronger? The first man is reacting, the second man is recalibrating. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Stoicism was never meant to be emotional suppression. True stoicism is emotional responsibility. It's the ability to feel disappointment without letting it control your identity, to feel heartbreak without turning bitter, to experience rejection without collapsing your self-worth. And this is where many men unknowingly trap themselves. They believe no contact is about making her miss them. But emotionally mature growth asks a much deeper question. Why does your peace depend so heavily on someone else's recognition in the first place? That question changes everything, because once you stop centering your life around her reactions, your nervous system begins to calm down. You stop checking your phone every few minutes. You stop analyzing every social media update. You stop interpreting silence as rejection. Your body literally begins to relax. Psychologists often talk about attachment systems. When someone becomes emotionally dependent on another person for reassurance, their brain enters cycles of hypervigilance. They constantly scan for signs of connection or disconnection. That's why heartbreak feels physically exhausting. Your mind becomes trapped in uncertainty. But emotional self-containment interrupts that cycle. And here's the surprising part. When you stop emotionally chasing, people feel it. Not because you became cold, not because you became cruel, but because your energy is no longer reaching outward in desperation. There is calmness now, stability, direction. A man who is emotionally anchored behaves differently in subtle ways. He no longer over-explains himself. He no longer fights to prove his value. He observes actions instead of clinging to promises. He pays attention to consistency instead of chemistry alone. That level of self-respect is rare, and rarity creates impact. I once heard a story about a man who spent nearly a year trying to win back someone he deeply loved. He watched motivational videos daily, practiced no contact repeatedly. And if you've ever laid awake replaying conversations in your head, wondering whether she misses you, whether she's thinking about you, whether she regrets walking away, then you are not alone. Then one day, something shifted. Not because she came back, because he got tired of abandoning himself. He started focusing on things unrelated to the relationship entirely. He joined a boxing gym, traveled with friends, rebuilt his confidence slowly, and months later he realized something unexpected. He no longer needed an outcome. He no longer needed revenge, validation, or even closure. That's when he became free. And freedom has a presence people can feel. This is why emotional maturity is so powerful. It's quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to post quotes about healing every day. It simply becomes evident through behavior. You become slower to react, more careful with your energy, more protective of your peace. And something fascinating happens psychologically when you stop needing to control how someone sees you. You reclaim enormous emotional power. Think about how much energy people waste trying to be understood, trying to prove their intentions, trying to explain their value to someone emotionally unavailable. It's exhausting. But emotionally grounded people understand something important. Clarity cannot be forced. If someone is confused about your worth despite your consistency, your job is not to convince them harder. Your job is to decide whether that connection still aligns with your standards. That's maturity. And standards are different from ego. Ego says, I'll make you regret losing me. Standards say, I will no longer stay where I feel emotionally unsafe. One seeks revenge, the other seeks peace. There's also another layer most men overlook. Women are often emotionally affected not by dramatic absence, but by emotional unavailability rooted in genuine self-respect. When someone who once revolved around them suddenly becomes internally fulfilled without resentment, it creates cognitive dissonance. What changed? Why does he seem so steady? Why doesn't he feel emotionally reachable anymore? That uncertainty lands deeply because humans naturally notice shifts in emotional accessibility. And again, this is not manipulation. That's important to understand. The goal is not to make someone anxious. The goal is to stop making yourself anxious. Please hear that clearly. The healthiest transformation happens when your focus shifts away from controlling her emotions and toward mastering your own. That means creating routines that stabilize your mind, exercising even when motivation disappears, getting sunlight, sleeping properly, talking to trusted friends instead of isolating yourself, reducing emotional impulsiveness, learning how to sit with discomfort without reacting immediately. These are not small things. These are psychological rebuilding tools. And over time, they create something incredibly attractive, emotional steadiness. Not fake confidence, not toxic detachment, not cold indifference, steadiness. A steady man does not panic when communication changes. He does not chase mixed signals. He does not collapse when someone pulls away. He evaluates calmly. He responds intentionally. He protects his inner peace without punishing others. That kind of energy changes relationships completely. And perhaps the most important truth of all is this: even if she never returns, you still win. Because the real transformation was never about getting her back. It was about getting yourself back. Heartbreak can either make a man reactive or reflective, bitter or disciplined, dependent or grounded. And the men who truly evolve are not the ones who master silence as a tactic. They are the ones who stop abandoning themselves for love that requires constant self-sacrifice. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this: the most powerful shift is not when she misses you. It's when you finally stop losing yourself trying to be chosen. If this resonated with you, leave a comment below and share the part that hit you the hardest. And if you're on the journey of becoming more emotionally grounded, subscribe and stay connected. Because the strongest men are not the loudest ones. They are the ones who learn how to remain calm, clear, and self-respecting in a world that constantly teaches emotional chaos. And once you learn that, silence is no longer your power. Peace is.